Hello, I'm Phil Hall and welcome to this digital photo video tutorial where I'll be showing you how to convert your RAW files to black and white using Photoshop CS3's RAW converter. Unlike converting to mono in either Elements or CS2, unique to CS3 is the grayscale mix set of sliders in CS3's RAW converter. This is great for us as it allows us to control how every colour range affects the tonal range of the image, offering us ultimate control. So let's open up the Start RAW file and I'll show you how. So this is CS3's RAW converter interface, and as you can see we've got a start image there. This is the shot we want to convert to mono, and it's the same shot that I used for the other tutorials in Elements and CS2 on converting to mono. But unlike those two, I'm not going to start by desaturating the image. What I did in the other two was just knock the saturation down to -100 and removed all the colour. But I'm going to leave it on 0, and that's because I'm going to click on this HSL Grayscale tab in a moment, and we're going to hit convert to grayscale. But before I do that, I just want to make a few minor alterations to the image under the basic tab, and then we can start mixing around with the grayscale system there. Okay, so I'm going to move up to exposure, and I'm going to go for plus 0.25 on that just to lighten it a tad, and I'm going to move down to recovery. So what I'm going to do is check if I've got any blown highlights. That's where detail has been lost in the lightest areas. So I'm going to hit O on my keyboard, and that will bring up the highlight clipping warning, and that will normally display in red blotches, but luckily I can't see any, so we've still maintained detail in all of the highlights, so that's good news. I'm going to move down to fill light now. I'm going to again check if I've lost any detail in the shadows this time, so I'm going to hit U on my keyboard, and as you can see there's some blue blotches appeared, and this is the shadow clipping warning. That's showing me where all the detail has been lost and it's just gone black. So with the fill light slider, just bring that back a little bit. I want to go to about plus 10. Any more though, and it starts to look pretty horrible, so I've got to be careful how much I use it. So I think plus 10 is fine on that. The next three sliders I'm going to leave alone. I don't want to play around with blacks too much. I'm going to set them back there, and with brightness and contrast, though I've used them in the past on the other conversions I've done in Elements and CS2, I'm going to use the tone curve tab up here in a moment. So all I'm going to do quickly is just increase the clarity to 50. There we go, and that's just boosted the contrast in the midtones. I can now quickly just click on the tone curve, select the point tab, and from the drop down options I'm going to select a strong contrast. That's just boosted the image up nicely and given it a bit more bite. So I think I'm now ready to convert this shot to mono. So to do that, I'm going to go over to this fourth tab along, which is the HSL Grayscale tab. I'm going to click on it, and as I pointed out earlier, we've got this little option here, Convert to Grayscale. As you can see, if I tick on that, we lose those three tabs, and we're just left with this Grayscale Mix tab. Now, as you can see, Photoshop's keyed in the values that it thinks works best for this shot, but I want to make the decisions, so I'm going to reset everything to 0 and input the kind of ingredients I want for my perfect mono shot. So I'm going to hit default, and everything will return to 0. So it's looking a little flatter, but we can work on that and come up with an even better result than what Photoshop suggested for us. So as you can see, we've got 8 sliders there, and each represents a colour range and how it affects our overall image. And it means we've got plenty of control. We can control specifically how the reds in the shot affect the image, how the greens affect the shot, how the blues do. So we've really got tons of control and no excuse for getting a rubbish looking mono shot. Okay, so probably the best way to illustrate that is with the blue slider, because we've got quite a lot of blue in the sky. So if I just drag it to the right, you can see it gets bleached out quite a bit, and it's not looking that exciting, the shot now. If I drag it all the other way, and until we go to -100, got a really black, moody sky. So that's good, but I don't want it quite as harsh as that, so I'm going to knock it back to around about -80. I'm just going to quickly hit U on my keyboard to get rid of the shadow clipping warning. That was being a little bit of a distraction. So we can now crack on with our conversion. So I've done the blues now. I'm going to take a look at the aquas. If I slide along, I don't know if you can see that, but there's a subtle change just above the beach huts there. around this area here. So if I move that along a bit more, you can see hopefully the subtle changes. I'm going to go for about minus 25 on that. Just got a little bit more detail coming through that area there. That's what I'm after. I'm now going to take a look at the yellow slider. If I knock it back that way, you see the foreground, the sand there, and the beach huts themselves look like they're in shadow, or it looks quite overcast, and it's quite a dull result. So I'm going to go the other way, boost it up, and that's now starting to look much better. I'm going to go pretty extreme on that. I want to go to plus 50 there, I think. Yeah, that's looking good. I'm pleased with the way that's working out there. It's nice and bright, nice and crisp looking sort of result there. And I can enhance that using the orange slider. I'm just going to increase it to plus 35. That's just helped it along a little bit there. As you can see, I'm just playing around with the sliders and trying to see what works, and knowing what colours are where, and then I can sort of put those ingredients into these sliders and seeing how they affect the shot. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the red, sort of the red slider now. If I knock that back there, you'll probably notice it predominantly in that beach out there. That was obviously originally quite a strong red, and I knock it back and it almost goes black there and almost white there. So I want to lighten it a little bit from its present state. I'm going to go to round about plus 30. There we go. And it's just lightened it a little bit there. I'll move down to greens now as well. I think this is see what's going on here. Move the slider down there, and that beach up there goes quite dark, and I don't want that. I'm going to just lighten it up from what it was. I'm going to go to about plus 30. Don't worry if you're working on your own image and some of these sliders aren't having any impact on your shot whatsoever. It's just because the colours aren't there. So again, if I use the purple slider, there's no marked difference on the image, as you can see. And the same can be said for the magentas. So it's pointless moving them around the place. Just leave them on 0 or how you found them. So there you go. The grayscale mix tab. It's without doubt the best way to convert your images to mono, as we've got complete control over every colour range on the image. It allows us to achieve some great results without even needing to go into Photoshop and tinker around. You can do all of that with the power of RAW. I hope you've enjoyed it, and why not try it on your own images too. Cheers!